The only thing that is going to save your time and prevent you from making the wrong decisions is not taking people's advice on how to save time and how to make the right decisions. People mean well. That is something that I truly believe. And it helps me when I look out on a world of extreme violence and polarization and misguidance. It helps me understand why that perpetuates, because people have very different frames of experience. And if the intention is to protect each other, but the frame of experience is very small, then the collateral of that ring of protection is massive destruction all around it. And this is the nature of advice. There are, of course, kernels of truth in all of it, but we, as individuals with our own limited frames of experience, will hear advice and we will kind of default to seeing a model that has worked for someone else with their own parameters, their own talents and abilities, and also deficiencies. And we can completely uproot ourselves to try and use that pathway or that shortcut to achieve some sort of success. And that idea of success is also limited by our context, our framing, and our experience, and our conditioning. So this is a very, very short message, but I was just journaling a bit this morning, and I was thinking about all of these videos on YouTube that say, what I wish I did in my 20s now as a 30-year-old, or in 10 minutes, save yourself 20 years, whatever these clickbait titles are. And of course, it's attractive to want to save time, but I truly believe that the only way you will save yourself from making the so-called same mistakes as these people is by not clicking on another one of those videos. Because every time that you disconnect from your own path, your own experience, and your own recognition of your patterns, you lose more time, you lose more energy. And it comes from a place of wanting to externalize control from yourself, wanting to say, well, if that person did it this way, then I can do it that way. And it also opens up the possibility of shifting blame onto somebody else for misguidance. And then you have kind of both sides of the violent domino effect of, the person who misguides with good intentions, and then the victim of that misguidance who then can live their life regretting having put all of their marbles onto someone else's game board. So what do we do? What do we do with all this misguidance firing off? What do we do when we recognize it? Well, I think that that's the great calling of today, is an individuation process, as Jung calls it, or differentiation. I think is a bit more of a general term. And it's the sense that we have a compass, an internal compass. It is, you could call it intuition, you could call it the responses that we get from people, you could call it just taking a survey of your own landscape. And all the information on what works for us, what doesn't work for us, where resistance comes up, where it falls away, is in the actual landscape and environment and immediate biological responses that we get just living our lives. And certain advice will resonate with that, and we can take it. But we have to remember that our mind is always defaulting. Everyone is always defaulting in their mind to a mentation, a conceptual sense of, ooh, I'd love to be that kind of person. And usually it's the opposite of who you really are. That is kind of the trick of the mind. It's always kind of wanting not self behaviors. Meanwhile, there's a whole other response system, which is guiding us every single day. And unfortunately, some of those guidances are much more developed than others. And so we have a bit of latency with our emotions and definitely our minds and yeah, other parts of our response system as well. Maybe it's not right to call it a response system. I would just say a feedback system. We're always getting feedback from the world and from ourselves and from other people. So that's pretty much the message. Don't blindly follow advice. Don't even follow advice with your eyes open. Really, first, make your own claim on a path. And while walking that path, there may be a lot of confirmation that comes through. But I would really, really, really warn against thinking that you're finding a shortcut by listening to some YouTube person tell you how you can save yourself 20 years of confusion. I really think that that's actually an entry into 20 more years of confusion. And that's conditioning. That's baseline conditioning and the problem of it.